go ahead and apologize if I cough. Got a little bit of a frog in the throat. Thank my kids for going to pre-kindergarten, bringing home all that guck. All right. So we got pillars. The snap deploy on D. Love that. Put that down with just complete confidence. You got this. A really wide deployment here. A lot on the bottom coming out from 3 different players. That's interesting. I like this angle here under D going into A. I call this the wedge. If you stick a ship in here, you're protected pretty much from anyone on the entire map, or have an easy way to, let me get it here, right, on the way to A. Oh, that was a fast deploy. Anyway, that position, it gives you good coverage from the rest of the map, and it gives you a perfect line of sight. Is that Biff? What is that? It gives you a perfect line of sight onto A. It's really good to stick a beam or maybe even a missile carrier down there. You can defend A. You can harass if something is spotted on the underside of the map. Let's see what's put in here. All right, so starting on the ANS side, we have Empire, I believe. Nope. This is ANS. Definitely not the KGB, like that name. A pair of 250 gun CLs. They don't have the backpack. Looks like, are they armed with size 1s? No, it's only point defense. And an E-War Corvette plus a capping corv with some cannons. Nice fleet there. Meanwhile, the BB is a beam BB. It's stuck by D for now. Hopefully it starts moving soon. These things, let's see, double wish, triple wish, dragonfly. That's really unfortunate. We'll get into that a little bit later. And a torpedo? No, an S3H. I like this. I've said before in some of my other casts, I feel like torpedoes a little bit underpowered right now. There are ways of making them work. They're just, on the whole, a little bit unreliable, in my opinion. Meanwhile, Empire, triple gun CLs, double gun CL with 250s. This is the dual 120s. I do like ships like this. These are very effective against the OSP. The 120s have no problem piercing through the light armor on the OSP hulls, and they do a great job. A lot of DPS available in these dual turrets. Meanwhile, the Axford, it is a kitchen sink build. We've got 450s, 250s, and a size 2 backpack. Looks like mostly just size 2s, a little bit of hybrids. And rounding at that fleet will be a size 3 point defense frigate, an E-War frigate, and a capping corv. Gotta love the capping corv. So important. Really, really critical for the ANS to bring those. It adds so much, since a lot of their fleets really handle better doing concentrated pushes, doing slower pushes, not just flanking to the other side of the map. It's really so critical for them to have good capping power, and those armed corvettes give them that. Meanwhile, OSP, going to be a real quick one. We have 2 container ships. No, I read that wrong. We have 2 mine-laying bulk frigates. We better go through that again. This is a Gale line ship. Okay. Alright, I see what you've done, OO, here. Meanwhile, this is a mix of mines and S2s. Not too many S2s available there. To go with that, we have a 450 Acello with a mixed rail, and are these 250s? This is a little bit unusual. C60s, so that is the single barrel 450. don't see that very often at all. Interesting. And with that is a capping shuttle, 2 capping shuttles. And I like this. I want to see how this does. It is a tug swarm filled with C-53s. It's going to be pushing out 250 fire. It's going to be pushing out E-War. It's fast. It's maneuverable. As long as it doesn't run into one of these capital ships, or maybe even if it does, if that cap has been damaged, it can do a lot of work. A tuna fleet? Is tuna the one that sticks 400 gales in a line ship and makes people feel bad? Because I guarantee when this belches out its complete complement of 32 gales at something, whoever they're being shot at is not going to be happy. A&S managed to get one of those capping corvettes on A. It's taking rail fire. It's taking 450 fire. It's not maneuvering. Ooh, that is unfortunate. It's already lost. It's Mark 62. There go internal components. There goes criticals onto its drives. Fires being set. 450 coming in even. Ouch. A little bit unfortunate for that. Here comes some flares. Interesting. The size 2 hybrids with decoys. They slam into the Cicello. Oh, I wonder if those were ARADs. They went straight through the jamming that I'm sure the Cicello was pumping out. Or otherwise he forgot to enable it. Looks like that might have been the case. There's only the Dazzler automatically firing. That is unfortunate. Not critical damage, but you definitely don't want to be eating missiles that you don't have to. It is not a delicious meal fit for kings. Meanwhile, more of these size 2 hybrids. Let's see if the jamming is active this time, and there they fly by. That's how you want to be using an Cicello. Laugh in the face of missiles, at least ones that don't have ARAD. Oh, looks like those might have. Narrowly pulls them into... Oh my. We just saw that on the tactical. A pair, maybe a trio of mines activated. Oh, these are sprint mines. And have killed that capping corvette going for a cheeky E-cap. I really like sprint mines. They're much more deadly than the normal mines. Of course, they cost more. Not a good choice if what you want is just something to kind of slow down the enemy. But throwing a couple of them out on a point, definitely excellent back cap protection. These CLs, meanwhile, have moved all the way under the map, both on the left and the right flanks for A&S. They're firing a hang-up. It's not going to do much. This is a very popular strategy. I see a lot of people say fire hang-ups into the minefields and set them off. Technically, that is possible. I haven't personally seen it work in practice. Someone could maybe correct me in chat if I'm wrong. The issue is what you're disrupting is the signal from a sending ship to a receiving ship, and almost in all cases, that distance is so short that the jammer doesn't have enough strength to overcome that, at least not a single hang-up. So, a lull in the action here. These CL fleets are maneuvering. This BB has decided to reposition behind D. Don't want to come down too hard on this player, but if you are going to play a beam battleship, the ideal task is to move it forward and deny the enemy space. This creates such a deadly Wallace comes in, not enough Gunfrig Swarm. Well, we'll see. It did receive a nerf. I'm not sure personally it was enough to get rid of them, but until I see someone play it, I won't know. Back to the battleship. You create such a deadly sphere at 5 kilometers, almost anything that wanders into it, you'll be able to toast and kill with such ferocity. It's really kind of wasted with an ability like that here defending your single point. It might pay off, though, if they are aware of this missile ship here. It looks like they are. There go the beams. I wonder if the Gales will be fired before this beam battleship is able to kill this line ship. It looks like perhaps they will. There certainly have to be... Oh no! The ship has had its CIC taken out. It can't receive orders. It is adrift. It is going to be slowly and methodically sliced to pieces by this beam battleship. That is very unfortunate. Not sure, somewhere along the way he must have been spotted out. This beam battleship in the exact right position to take it out. And that is... Oh! It manages to restore its command long enough to fire them. The Gales aren't active, though, so these are blindly going out. Not Gales. The Illuminators aren't active. They have no backup seekers. There's no tracking on them, so they simply fly harmlessly around the battleship. Let's see if it's possible to get another shot off. Seems unlikely. Wow. Okay, looks like those Gales were armed with Wake Seekers. They flew all the way around behind the battleship before curving back, taking out its front beam, doing some more surface level damage. That might have bought enough time. That's right, the Wake secondary, definitely spicy. Yeah, what the heck, Wake doing something. If not for the fact that this is knife fighting range, those Gales certainly would have run out of juice in their thrusters and not been able to make that insane curve back around. I wasn't even watching them. I just assumed they'd gone off into the aether. Unfortunately, so much critical damage here. It seems unlikely that another shot will be taken. The ship is thrusting. But it looks like that's all she wrote for this unfortunate line ship. Sort of an interesting decision to push a missile ship, especially a Gale ship. Oh, no, we got it. We did see that. There come more sprint mines slamming into this CL. Looks like, unfortunately, that dual purpose, not enough damage to take out this CL completely. It's got restores. It's still underway. Meanwhile, its friend and companion is getting locked on by more mines. No, these are size 2s. But unfortunately, the PD is not able to activate them. It's being confused with trying to prioritize all these mines. The missiles slam in both of these two ships, covered with craters. Meanwhile, the beam battleship has managed to take out that missile line ship, and that's all for that player. Unfortunately for this missile mine layer, In addition to 250 fire, it's eating missiles being fired by this corvette. Easily taken out. Not very tough when the right weapons are applied to them. And that ship goes down. At this point, the entire match hangs on this Ocello group and this tug swarm. Meanwhile, ANS has lost a few corvettes, taken a little bit of damage on some gun CLs. They'll be able to repair it up and re-engage this Ocello. Meanwhile, this Ocello is getting shot from above by 450s. It's flanked on 2 sides, soon to be 3 sides as these CLs come up. Looks like they might be able to surprise this tug group. If RPF starts, 250 RPF starts going off, those tugs could be in for a world of hurt. This Ocello trading fire with these gun CLs. Let's take a look. They have not turned and gotten their nose on target. That's really the number one rule of a CL. If anything shoots back at you, you want your nose pointed straight at them. It minimizes the amount of ship they have that their weapons can hit. It angles these front sections, protects you from some of the lower caliber weapons. It's very, very important. One of the most important skills to learn as a new player is pushing the H or right-clicking under movement, I believe, and setting that heading. It's so critical for so many ships. Getting your bow on target, not in every case, but in most cases when someone is shooting back on you, it is a critical thing. Same for this Ocello. Those CLs want to run away and repair, and by keeping this side profile on, any of these 450s that hit are going to go straight through the entire ship, dealing massive damage. The Ocello, it's really squishy if you don't put it nose on. Luckily, at this distance and without a fire control lock, looks like most of the 450s harmlessly skirting around it. So points-wise, ANS not terribly far ahead. That's mostly due to E not being captured by the ANS yet. Trying to see if enough of this minefield has been cleared that it's no longer a threat. It looks like that might be the case. These CLs know that it's up there. They got hit by it before. They're probably sticking at this range on the bottom as much as they can, and they are firing some point defense at them. So more than likely they'll take E. Let's come over here to B, see what this tug swarm can do against this trio of 250 light cruisers. This is not a good matchup. The 250 coming out of this tugs is enough to pierce the hulls of these CLs and deal damage, but in return they are going to get absolutely walloped by 250 RPF when it gets on target. Meanwhile, some missiles, some hybrids coming in from the 120 CL. The 120 CL, by the way, should be excellent at handling these also. Some really good point defense fire coming out of that. Grazers paying their, getting their value secured for their points, taking out hybrids. These are definitely not cheap hybrids. There goes another one. That is one of the advantages of the Grazer against small 2 to 3 missile waves. They're actually very good if you bring a couple of them. Where they struggle is if you fight S2 Gales, something. Oh, that battleship. Surprising me. It's finally come around through D in range of the tug swarm. Beams one for half a second and instantly kills it. Possibly two. This shuttle's been killed as well. Here come more hybrids. Oh, more beams. Slicing through this tug. Lifespan measured in seconds, and it is already dead. Meanwhile, these CLs finally have cannons on targets. They're pummeling the tugs. The tugs don't have the armor, don't have the hit points, don't have the compartments or the toughness to take on this many CLs. They are absolutely going to fall in short order, and that's ignoring the fact that this Beam BB is charging full speed ahead, 34 meters per second. It's a 3 whiplash BB. It does go fast in a straight line forwards, and with that, so go the hopes of the OSP for a victory here. The Acello's coming in. It wants a piece of these CLs. It's firing at them. It's managed to almost disable this one 250. And as you can see, when not nose on, these 450s, they slam into the side, they penetrate, and they go all the way through, causing catastrophic damage. Let's see if this one is actually, yep, it's had its CIC knocked out. It's had turrets knocked out, radar panels knocked out. The CL's perhaps not realizing their predicament here, or they fired hybrids, but the Omni Jam comes out of the Acello and makes sure that they do not connect. The Acello is vulnerable to 250 millimeter, even HE will go in and damage it. Not a good angle to fire on nose in like this. The Acello incredibly tough firing nose on due to all this structure. You can see from the front, your rounds have to go all the way down, all of that. Oh, but there come the beams. They'll have none of those problems I was just mentioning as they completely gut the Acello. Takes out both of its turrets on the top and the core components there. Meanwhile, these 250s continue the duel with these tugs. They're coming out on top. It's not even a contest, really. And with that, OSP team sensed the writing on the wall, and we're just waiting for cleanup. Unfortunately, let's see if this shuttle technically counts as armed. It does not, and it is disabled. So when this final line ship is caught either by the 250 light CLs, this 450 Axford, or this beam battleship, that will be solidly the end of the game. So we have some time. Let's talk about hindsight. Definitely one hindsight to mention is with all-in plays like this, these fleets are very, very vulnerable. They're almost more like support fleets. They are not capable, I should say, of pushing a flank on their own. In this case, running into a beam battleship, getting absolutely torn to shreds, while still having your entire rack of missiles available. That's 3,000 points gone in a matter of seconds. A huge blow to the team. A ship like this, mines are good, but they are not good if you attempt to hold an entire flank with them alone. They did do damage. I'm sure this player's numbers will have a lot. But it's really unfortunate that both of these all-in fragile ships took a flank on their own and happened to get caught out and punished for it. ANS team did a really good job of pushing that flank, especially the beam battleship was in just the right position every step of the game. Meanwhile, the CLs did a great job flanking underneath. It took a little bit long in terms of match time, but because the OSP had these support fleets, they really were not in a good position to push on their own. The Acello had a brief moment as the CLs were going under the map, but it was attempting to cover its left flank as it collapsed from threats below. And while repositioning, it left the tugs open in the center of the map. And those tugs are not tough enough to push something on their own. They're great uh, sort of in an ambush against even one isolated CL. They can get the jump on, fire enough 250s into it to put the hurt on and really disable it and sort of almost piranha swarm it. But in this case, the entire ANS team just had a complete envelopment coming from every side, every angle, and were able to basically at that point kind of 4v2 them, and ends with predictable results. Let's take a quick look. I'm curious. The CL's doing work, both CL fleets. And as far as the Gale player, unfortunately, very little damage. Owing to the mine hits and a couple Tempest hits, plenty of damage here. Unfortunately, only 32% of the missiles actually fired.